America.
Welcome to the Costa Mesa Pettis Perspective. This is Jeff Pettis, episode 19. Thanks for watching as usual. Hey, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps us track the algorithm and kind of knows where people are watching, where they're coming from, all that fun stuff. So tonight what I want to talk about is going to be a departure from the city council meeting, which was last night, Tuesday the 21st. And there's a reason for that. Well, first of all, I want to say that the meeting was 7 hours long, and I know that they're often long, but I have a request in case Mayor Stevens is watching. You know, there's a lot of important things that happen in the meeting. You know, there was the baseball team, which was great to see. Things like last time it was acknowledging the incoming chief. All those things are important. Covering off on consent calendar, public hearings, and new business is all very important for the city. But I think there's a lot that could be trimmed down. There's a lot of self-congratulatory stuff that happens in these meetings. Not always, but, you know, councils going back and forth with how, you know, thank you for this, thank you for that. Stevens going back and forth. You know, I think we could trim the meetings down, you know, an hour, 2 hours just by doing that. And it's mostly because I think there's something to be said about they go on late enough, and if important stuff's happening at the end, people are tired to be there at 1 a.m. The public has a right to see this stuff and hear this stuff. So anything that the council and the mayor could do to trim those meetings down, please do it. That would a lot of people would appreciate it. I know that you can't always do that, but there's certainly efforts that could be made. So enough of that. And what I want to talk about tonight is nothing related to the council meeting. The reason I'm talking about attitude and agency in the introduction post I put out is because during the recall and then post-recall, obviously Gavin Newsom was not recalled. But what I found myself doing a lot and spending a lot of time doing, I mean like hours, was answering. I felt like I needed to be a cheerleader to a lot of people that I know, people that I don't, people in these various different forums where there's a lot of doomsday thinking, a lot of woe is me, all is lost, you know, California's too far gone, Costa Mesa's too far gone. All they do is cheat. There's nothing we can do going forward to ever win election again. When I say we, I'm obviously talking about the Republican Party and conservatives. And yes, I'll be talking about me as a conservative and the Republican Party. My intent here is not to get into a debate over political ideology. What I want to do is kind of talk to my own party and my own people that there's a lot of, you know, I'm going to take my ball and go home kind of things happening. And I found myself needing to be the cheerleader in a sense, and I've never seen anything quite like it. And first of all, the first thing that should be said is that the recall election, like I've said many times, was a success. The fact that Gavin Newsom was even on the ballot in the first place to be recalled is a miracle in the bluest of royal blue states in the Union, maybe New York, close second. That is a feat in itself. And I think that what I and Republicans and other conservatives need to remember is that it is the intent of the far left, and it is the mission, it's a strategy at the national level, state level, county level, down to city level, to use to demoralize us as Republicans and to put fear and shame and try to demoralize us to the point where we just won't go out and vote anymore. And I was starting to feel in this election, maybe the one coming off this recall election, that it might be a very effective strategy, because what they want to do is, like if you look at some of these news conferences or have conversations, people, if you were to bring up as, hey, I think that there was some, you know, ballot harvesting, I think there were some irregularities in the vote counting. What they do, and it's not everybody. There's a lot of good Democrats and a lot of good. I mean, they're not all bad. There's a big sector of people that will shame you, tell you you're a conspiracy theorist, and try to bully you out of voting the next time. And you know what? That is not going to happen to me, and I hope it doesn't happen to the people here in Costa Mesa, California, Orange County. It's really it's important to remember, and it's important for me to remember, that we are currently experiencing a resurgence of the grassroots level of conservatism. And you can see it. We haven't seen this in a long time. When you have people that are conservative mothers, fathers showing up at school board meetings, speaking out against masking, and not even all just conservatives, but mothers and parents in general showing up, talking about critical race theory, talking about masking, involving themselves. I mean, we've never seen activism like this in our party in a long, long time. So I think that's a good news. And what we need to do is capitalize on that rather than taking our ball and going home and saying, woe is me, they're just going to cheat. I don't want to hear that anymore, because are you a quitter or are you a fighter? I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep fighting. And when I say fight, obviously peacefully, for those liberals who are watching and want to use that as a lightning rod. Remember that when Trump, and this isn't a pro-Trump thing right now, even though I love Trump and I voted for him, we had Trump come into office, overcame all odds in 2016, and things began to rapidly turn around. Then we had the China virus hit. And then what happened overnight was we began to see a loss of liberty, a loss of individual freedom, a loss of everything that the Republican Party stands for, or most conservatives stand for, overnight. So what not to do right now is to quit and to get discouraged. What we need to do, as I say this all the time, just when I'm talking amongst my family, my wife, my kids, talking about all politics are local, and it used to be the case. And now our party, the Republican Party, a lot of the people like to say the rhinos, turned into the globalist party and forgot what it meant to be a conservative at the local level. Ronald Reagan used to call it communitarian. I think he borrowed that from somebody. But it's important to remember that local politics is similar to federalism, which is a tenet of what conservatives and Republicans believe in. Federalism meaning we do not believe in central planning, big government. We believe that each state has its own culture, own personality, everything that makes it unique. North Dakota doesn't want to hear about California solar panels when it comes to energy. A lot of California doesn't want to hear about North Dakota's oil. That's why we have federalism. That's why states' rights are important. And it's very similar to what we need to be doing at the community level. And community liberty and freedom and being locally focused on what our actions are to start bringing this country back is very similar to federalism. And how people often say, well, what do you mean? How can we affect anything at the local level when it comes to national politics? And it has to start somewhere. The answer to that is that everything starts at the local level. What could we do? The first thing we could do is you have these entrenched bureaucrats at the local level. We have the city managers unelected, the city attorney who's unelected. We have these commissions and these committees that are unelected people. They're appointed by the sitting elected people, planning commission, finance, arts, parks and rec, all of it very much is controlled by people that were appointed by people that were voting in. So if you think about Costa Mesa and what can you do at a local level, there's a lot we can do at the local level to change the culture in the city. But what's not going to change it is going to be people that give up and say all is lost. I don't think that is a winning strategy. I think that's weak. I'm seeing too much of it lately. And what I'm not doing is grandstanding. And what I'm doing and I can talk from my perspective. I started thinking about doing this in 2016, and then made the decision in 2020 to run for city council, and I lost. And I didn't get sure I was upset, but I was. All I did is look at that as a learning process. And now I'm going to continue going. I'm going to run for sanitary district in 2022, and then I'm going to run for the city council in 2024. That's because I'm using my agency. Agency is action to cause an effect. So I'm going to use my agency as an individual to affect change in my city. And who else can do that? Me, you can do it. Your friends can do it. And sometimes when we're talking about these things, it's not about if we're talking to a liberal that we know we're never going to change their mind. Dan Bongino talks about this all the time, not to steal his work, but we're not talking to change that person's mind. We're talking to the third person who's off to the side listening to the conversation. Those are the people that are that are gettable. And one last thing I will say on Dan Bongino is I have to give him credit too, because describes it perfectly when it comes to the difference between the two sides. So, and I'm talking about the far left liberals. They see conservative, constitutional conservatives like us is bad people with ideas. And we see the liberals, and normally as a person like me, I see that they're good people with bad ideas. That's a big difference. They see us as bad people, irredeemable, deplorable. That's not how we roll. So we need to remember that we have principles. We stick to our principles, and what we need to do is use our agency to affect change at the local level. And if there's enough of that done in the next election, 2022, I'm going to be working with other people to try and run for their district seats. But there's many other things that we can do. Call a friend, email a friend, get out there and volunteer for the people that are running. So what I don't want to do is hear any more yammering about how woe is me, this thing's rigged, it's never going to happen in our favor. I don't want to hear that anymore. I want to hear we're going to do everything we can as a group to fight and to take this back. And I don't think California is all lost. I don't think Costa Mesa is all lost. I think it's winnable, and I think we can change. I just need everybody's attitude to change. I'm going to do it myself. I'm looking forward to working with everybody in the next 2, 4, 6, 10 years. Let's get it done. No more whiting. And thanks for listening. But really, to get it all in perspective, it's important to be kind to yourself, be good to each other. Together we can get it done. Bye for now.